Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to pick up on something reported in the Financial Times concerning a follow-up on the ill-advised purchase by Her Majesty's government of a knackered company to make the wrong sort of satellites for our go-it-alone sat-nav system. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, I'd already discussed the nonsense of this example of Dominic Cummings' mania for committing fully to untested systems. He's just absolutely mad with it. He's very much like Boris Johnson. Someone convinces of him this brilliant scheme, and he sees himself as such a visionary. And I applaud the aspect of him that wants to modernise things, and he wants to do things differently and not be stuck in a rut. But committing fully into untested systems because it might work is a madness. £500 million to invest in a bankrupt satellite company to produce satellites for our own sat-nav system. Not only was the company insolvent, but it also specialises in making the wrong satellites for this purpose. That in itself made it look like a bad purchase to me. Then you consider that we could have remained within the EU's Galileo system. We're not EU members anymore. We're not even getting a comprehensive deal with the EU. That's not fine, but you know, that's a thing. That didn't stop us still remaining in individual systems. There were some systems that the EU were happy for us to stay in. They just didn't want the single market, the integrity of the single market compromising. There are certain systems we could have remained in and that would have been okay. We could have had those as individual agreements. But no. Apparently, Brexit means we can't play with the EU anymore. We've taken our ball and gone home. Only it's actually their ball. So, yeah, that's the thing. So, here we go. We're going to build our own system from scratch. The only problem is that this was worked out as costing billions. I mean, it cost the EU 8 billion. Obviously, if we're going to design our own, it's also going to cost a similar figure, you would think, before it's done. Only with the EU version, of course, we paid some of the cost because not all of it, because the investment is spread across multiple countries. So you're paying a share of the overall thing. Whereas you're doing it alone, doing your own system alone, represents us absorbing the entire cost as a single nation. And that is true of all of the EU systems that we're pulling out of. And there's a lot of them. Dozens. Making our own will cost at least as much as it costs the entire EU for the same thing. How is that fiscally responsible? But it now gets worse because it turns out that for the purchase to go ahead, a ministerial direction was required. And ministerial directions always have to be made public, and so that's how we know about it. What's a ministerial direction, I hear you ask? So essentially, it's not when a minister U-turns by the way and you have to track their new trajectory. If the government wants to spend public money that would break its own spending rules, it has to be authorised by a minister. Basically, the civil service look at a proposal and go, no, this doesn't meet our spending rules. There's no way we can commit public money to this. It is not giving good value to the public. Now, a minister can, of course, overrule that. Go, no, it's fine. That's okay. They just have to make sure that they authorise it, that they are staking their reputation effectively on it. They are taking full responsibility for it, basically. So the company was invested in under these conditions means one of two things. One, the government's own spending rules are unnecessarily cautious. Now, given the frightening way that we have already pissed away billions for no return at all in the past few months, I doubt this is the case. If anything, they're not cautious enough. So the second option is that the purchase is sheer madness and no money is going to change hands until a minister gives explicitly written confirmation that they take full responsibility for the calamity that is likely to unfold later on. They don't get to blame their civil servants. So, what were the ways in which this purchase broke the government's own spending rules and attracted such alarm in the civil service that required this ministerial direction? So first of all, the letter that was written to a minister noted that it was possible that this investment could yield a 20% return. Small chance. Now, financially, that would be good. Doesn't really solve the problem, which is building a sat-nav system, but you at least don't lose your money and you get a little bit in return. However, there was considered to be a very significant risk that the entire investment could be lost with no value in anything at the end of it. In other words, you lose the full $500 million and you don't have anything to show for it. A little bit like when we gave the money to Dominic Cummings' mate to develop that COVID tracing app that has now been completely abandoned, except that just cost 12 million quid. 12 million quid that would be bloody useful to people in this country, but still it's not $500 million. So other than possibly beating Chris Grayling's record for the most public money completely wasted in one project, I mean, maybe the certificate or something for that. I mean, that to me doesn't sound like something I would wanting to commit to put my name to. The second reason is that there didn't appear to have been any consideration as to whether alternative investments might have given a better return. So what you're supposed to do, you go, this is $500 million of the public's money. We're going to invest it in this. Is there something we can invest in it that's going to give us a better chance of a return? They didn't do any of that. Of course not, because this is Dominic Cummings getting excited about what that company convinced them he could do, or convinced him that they could do. Now, Dominic Cummings, of course, knows nothing about finance or satellites, but he feels fine making a judgment like that and ordering his government monkeys to action it. The third thing, so the UK Space Agency had a little look at this investment and noted that the company wasn't going to have to overcome a lot of substantial challenges in order to succeed, and also that further investment was highly likely to be needed. In other words, what they said is, look, what they're going to do, we're not sure they can do it, but I'll tell you something, they're going to ask for more money. They ain't going to be able to do it with the amount of money you've invested. So, in other words, this white elephant isn't just going to cost $500 million before it's over. And you know how it works when ministers have a bit of an ego. So, we've seen this so many times before, haven't we? The project gets ministerial support. Then it stalls because it was never a good idea from the start. So then they say, well, we need more money. We've used up the $500 million, we need more. So the minister has a choice. They either abandon it there and look bloody stupid because they were told that this was a non-starter and now they've spaffed away $500 million, or they pump more money into it and hope that, okay, at the end of it, it's going to have cost more, but we'll have still got the return out of it. So they keep pumping money in until even blinkered morons can realise that it's a dead duck. You ain't getting anything out of it, ever. After which the final bill will then have to be totted up, and then nothing at all will happen to the minister responsible. The Commons Business Select Committee has said that there's an issue of accountability and lack of transparency in the investment as well. Again, this will be because it's Dominic Cummings' decision. Of course, there's a lack of transparency. He's not supposed to be making decisions, unelected bureaucrat and all that. The chair of the committee also noted that the decisions seem to be purely commercial. Now that suggests that it's seen more as a way of making money than as to developing the sat-nav system that we need. And I keep talking about sat-nav system. It's not just that. It's also there to provide us with broadband for hard to reach areas, something Boris Johnson has committed to in Prime Minister's questions earlier this week. He committed to rolling out broadband to harder to reach places. Ultimately, this programme has got to be part of that solution, which means if in a few years' time we've got nothing to show for it. And the thing about it that occurs to me as well is the government doesn't even have a controlling stake in the company. We haven't bought the company as such. So when we've invested in it. So when it turns out that this company that went bankrupt, making satellites that it knows how to make, somehow, let's just say for the sake of argument, somehow, for some reason, struggles to make completely different satellites financially viable, you would presume that the other stakeholders, who don't want to lose all their money, will insist that it focuses on what it can make money from. And that might be at the expense of what we want them to make. In which case, basically, the best we can hope is that we don't lose all the money, that we actually get the money back. And that's the best we can hope for, potentially. You know, presumably it will be described as a world-beating satellite system, because I'm fairly sure pretty soon world-beating in the UK is going to come to mean non-existent. But anyway, there it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.